Do you like girls? Do you like cars? Do you like girls that can transform into cars fighting robots? No, this isn't a Transformers game. The game we're looking at today is Drive Girls on the PlayStation Vita. Released on January 26, 2017 in Japan, June 9th in Europe, and scheduled for release on September 8th for North America, Drive Girls was developed by Tamsoft, who helped bring you games such as Senran Kagura, and published by Bergsala Lightweight in Japan, Rising Star Games in Europe, and Axis Games for North America. The game can be best described as an action game with both single and multiplayer aspects to it. In Drive Girls, you follow Lancia, an upbeat, somewhat ditzy girl who's on her way to take the ERT, or Emergency Response Team, entrance exam so she can fulfill her dream of helping others in trouble. Unfortunately, that habit of helping others leads her to miss her test, and after being given a second chance test by the commander, which unusually involved beating up a robot bug with a weapon, Lancia gets dispatched to Sun Island to soon discover that her second chance test wasn't to join the ERT, but to join another organisation known as Drive Girls, a team of girls dedicated to fighting the robot bug menace plaguing Sun Island. Throughout the game you'll control Lancia and later on the other girls who will join the team as the story follows an anime-inspired episode system, even complete with bonus episodes. But is the game any good? Let's find out in The Good. As an action game, Drive Girls gameplay tends to work well. As your respective character, you go around the stage fighting off groups of enemy robot bugs. These bugs spawn from a generator and are led by a commanding bug. The small fry tend to keep spawning until the commanding bug is destroyed, in which the generator is also destroyed and you move on to the next part of the stage. As you deal damage to the bugs, a couple of gauges will start to fill, one in the top right corner which will increase your attack and defense powers as it levels up, similar to gear shifting in a car, as well as being appropriately named to the gear meter and gear level. And your EP or energy points bar, which you can use to launch more powerful attacks or to boost your gear level. Once you max out your gear level and gear meter, you enter overdrive where you deal double damage for a minute. If your EP bar is full and you're in overdrive, you can use a very powerful attack known as an X injection at the cost of your gear levels and EP, which is handy against the more formidable bugs. But the biggest attraction of course to Drive Girls is being able to transform into a car and damage the bugs in car form. While your attacks are limited to driving into bugs and spinning while in vehicle mode, you can still use the mode to get around the stage a little quicker and do cool things like drifting, which can be useful against groups of bugs. But beware, being hit by an enemy will knock you out of vehicle mode, but thankfully there's no requirement or penalty for using it. Gameplay was well handled and each character in the game handles differently, so you can always find a style that best suits you. The game also has a decal system which helps boost your girl's stats. Collecting a certain set of decals and having the matching set applied can also boost your stats more than different individual ones, and you can use this to fine-tune your characters to your playstyle. On the topic of fine-tuning, you can also purchase gears from the store, which you can use to boost each character's overall speed, attack and defense, and as you collect these gears, they get more expensive to buy. The store can also be used to sell the excess decals you've been getting, as well as trading certain decals for more powerful ones. While the customization features are a little on the basic side, being restricted to decals and gears, they work well in the game. The multiplayer aspect of the game was one I enjoyed. You can team up with up to 3 other players to tackle missions together, whether it's through ad hoc or online. These missions of course are very much similar to the single player missions, but with stronger and different variations of some of the enemies to keep you on your toes. I played the multiplayer missions with a friend online, and we found it's been quite stable with very few latency issues, thankfully not to the point of it being a nuisance. The only major issue I found was finding people to play multiplayer with, as online lobbies were pretty much dead during the times I've been trying to play online, with the only successful time being the multiplayer session I'd set up with that friend. On the topic of issues, I think it's time we got to that with the bad. Mission variety I felt was quite weak. I wouldn't blame you for not knowing that the game also featured some racing missions too. To break things up from fighting all the time, there's 3 racing missions in the entire game, where the goal is to simply beat your opponent as you race around a circuit 3 times. Unfortunately, the track is mostly identical in all 3 instances, and your opponent is an absolute pushover. For a game where driving is a focus, I think it would be nice to have some more racing missions, even in different areas of the island, or even have a bug chase after you and you have to drive to a certain area of the map to fight it. Things like that would have been a nice change. I also felt character development was a little rushed. You indirectly meet your fellow teammates in the very first episode, and after they all eventually come together, there isn't much in the way of developing their characters. I swear Lancia actually starts off with some common sense and actually gets more stupid as the game carries on. Each character does get an episode or 2 to focus in on their backstory, or for us to learn a little bit more about them, but I felt that there was no real development to them, or it was just tacked on. Even the bugs, the major threat of the game, are no exception. Granted though, the game wasn't created on a high budget, so I suspect that that may have had something to do with it. Some of the in-game enemies are more annoying than anything. A lot of the enemies tend to be unfazed by your attacks and will just simply plow through the attacks and hurt you, while other enemies can stun you once they hit you. Combine that with 2 or 3 of them and you're put into a position where you can do nothing but helplessly watch your character get stun locked and eventually beaten. It also didn't help that the game's controls were poorly explained, as nowhere in the game does it tell you that you can press up on the D-pad to lock onto an opponent. I only just happened to have stumbled across this by chance, as without it the camera was all over the place. Other than that, that's all I really have to cover here, so it's time I give the opinion. While it's nothing groundbreaking, Drive Girls does make for a few hours of fun, whether you're hacking and slashing the enemy bugs, driving into said bugs, or racing around the track in all 3 available race missions. It's not a bad game, and I wouldn't mind seeing if the series has a future, since even Senran Kagura and Onechanbara, both games Tamsoft have had a hand in, started off as lower budget titles, and I feel that this is what's holding Drive Girls back. But hey, it did a pretty decent job and I was reasonably entertained. So if you like fan service games coupled with vehicular action, then this game would be the one I would point in your direction. With that, it's time for my rating. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.